Hello, all you happy people. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Mole Hole with the hardest working sports announcer in St. Louis. He's Randy Molman, and the show starts now. Good morning, St. Louis. Welcome to the Mole Hole. I'm going to change it up every week. My name's Randy Molman. Thank you for joining us here this morning on KXOK and KWRH here in St. Louis. Look at my new hat. For those on the video, look at this hat. See, it's I'm getting in close. Greatest show on turf, 25th anniversary hat. Sorry, go back here to the mic here. 25th anniversary of the greatest show on turf hat. Thank you to Michael Langston for bringing me my hat. I appreciate it, my friend.
He wants to cover up that bald spot you got going there.
Now we need something to cover this up, the face. Can we find something for that, please? I have plenty of clothes that cover up this body. I need something to cover up the face. I need a sip of coffee. We're going to talk Cardinal baseball today. I'm going to dive into a little bit of what's going on in the minor leagues. Also, some news from the NCAA. They are inflating and growing the NCAA tournament. 64, really 68 teams because of the playoff, or the play-in, I should say. And they're going to bump this up to 76. The traditionalists, myself included, hate it. I mean, how many more mid-level Power 4 teams are we going to let in this thing? Teams that, they have a great strength of schedule and they've lost X amount of games by, they have this many quad 1 wins and this many quad 2 games. But they finished the conference season 8-10. I would prefer, if we're going to do an expansion of the tournament.
Why are they doing it, though?
Well,
do you know?
That's
your wisdom. I'm sorry.
Good morning.
And I don't mean to jump right in there.
No, jump in.
It's just bubbling up out of me. I'm going, why did they do this?
Because I do think part of it is the number of D1 programs has grown over the last 10 years. We're into the mid 300s now. 64 teams, 68 teams out of mid 300. You add another 8 teams. I mean, does that really hurt anything? Look, in the overall big picture, it doesn't hurt anything, except I'll say this. Well, let me get back to what no, you're good. Let me get back to what I said, what I was going to say, which is if you're going to make it a little easier to get in, I mean, look, 8 extra teams with 350 teams or whatever it is not that big a deal. But if you're going to make it easier to get in, then I would prefer they put some requirements on it in conference play. If you finish under 500 in conference, I just don't think you should be allowed in the tournament. Now, people will argue and they'll say, well, if you're in the toughest conference, you'd be great in other conference. Let's say the Big Ten is the best conference and you finish 7th or 8th, middle of the conference, under 500, but it's the best conference in the country. That would be the other side of that argument. Well, in non-conference, they beat so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. If they had played in the Mountain West, they would have won that conference. If they played in the SEC, they'd be higher in the standings. The SEC is not as strong. That's the argument for my argument. But I guess the traditionalist part of me still feels like there's got to be something in the regular season to earn a chance to play for the national championship. And if you finish under 500 in conference, look, I'm going to tell you, as a basketball fan, I don't want to see them in the tournament. I don't want to see an under 500 Northwestern or an under 500 Wisconsin or an under 500 NC State. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not good enough to finish in the top half of your conference and finish with a 500 record in your conference, I'd rather see the second place team in the Missouri Valley. I'd rather see because the way it stands now in the mid-majors, the only automatic bid you get is if you win your conference tournament. If you're St. Louis University in the Atlantic 10, they got 2 in, and St. Louis, you deserve to be in the way they played this year, the way they finished. But as an example, St. Louis University wins the conference regular season, not the tournament. I want to see more of those teams get in. If you're in the Missouri Valley and you win your league and then don't win the tournament, but now as one of these extra 8 teams, the 8 and 10, name your Power 4 team, Virginia Tech or whatever. I'm not singling out any team in particular. I'm just throwing names out. But you see what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to add 8 teams, I want to add the mid-majors who had great regular years. I want to add, luckily, Miami of Ohio got into the play-in this year after having such a great regular season, undefeated until the conference tournament when they lost. So they didn't get an automatic bid because of that. Akron did. And so because they won the tournament. And Miami of Ohio barely got in, played a play-in game. What I'm hoping for is that we see more of the mid-major. I'd rather see 2 teams out of a mid-major as opposed to 1 team out of a mid-major and then some 8 and 10 team in the Big 12. Right. That's what I want to see. But I don't think it's going to go down like that. I think it's going to end up being more average power conference teams. And it's not going to help the mid-majors. So if it were me and I was going to expand this tournament, I'd also put in a rule. And I don't care how tough your conference is. If you're in a power conference and you finish any conference and you finish under 500 in conference, you're automatically disqualified from making the tournament. I don't, unless you win. Now, somebody finishes 8th at 8 and 10, and then they win their conference tournament. That's their automatic bid. That's their chance to get in. But you don't get to get in the tournament because you're under 500 in conference play. I want the best. I want the teams that have had the best years and the best regular seasons. And again, I do understand those on the other side of this argument who will tell me, well, an 8 and 10 Power 4 conference team would kill the second place team in the Missouri Valley. Maybe. In fact, kill, I don't know. Beat, yes, probably. But then again, you get to tournament time, you get to March. How many mid-majors upset power conference teams? It happens all the time. I just wish that the motive for this was not more money.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I hate to say it.
Instead, the motive was, let's make March even more interesting and let's award some mid-majors who deserve to get in. How many times have we seen a mid-major win their conference in the regular season, have an unbelievable regular season, and they lose in the conference tournament, and then they don't get in the NCAA tournament? It renders the regular season for many mid-majors, it renders the regular season useless. Oh my God, we killed in the regular season. We ended up 12-4, won the conference, then lost in the championship game of our tournament, and now we're out. I want to see more of those regular season champs get in. Like if it were me, I would do your regular bidding, and then for those extra 8 teams, I would start with what mid-majors won their league and lost in their tournament. Let's reward them for having a great regular season. That's how I'd start it. Nobody asked me. Nobody wants my opinion. I don't know why. I'm the smartest guy in the room. Just ask me. I'll tell you. I mean, I have been the one who told you to be patient on Jordan Walker. Although if you looked at my NCAA bracket, you'd be like, what is he talking about? I did have 2 of the Final Four teams, but that's not enough. More college stuff. Mizzou basketball added the big man from Kansas. They added a swing player, a forward from Providence, and then a massive rebounder from Tennessee to go with 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming in as freshmen. You've got Trent Pierce coming back. I mean, I still think Mizzou probably needs to add a veteran guard. All their guards are super young. But Mizzou basketball, I mean, I like the way this roster is being put together for next year. And we'll get into details on that, later as we get more towards basketball season. But I just wanted to talk about that in the portal. Mizzou did a phenomenal job.
They did this year. Get your tickets now.
Oh,
because I think it's going to be.
They have
the greatest season they've had in a long
consensus top 5 high school player who most have him right around 3 or 4, and the number 1 point guard in the country, Jason Crow. Tony Bryant is a top 25 wing player, 6'9". His synopsis I read the other day, the analysis on him is runs the floor, blocks shots, rebounds, and can drive. Those are the 2 McDonald's All-Americans. You add that to some veterans. Trent Pierce, 6'10". You got the big center/forward from Kansas. The guy I love is Carey from Tennessee, the rebounder. Top 10 in the country offensive rebounds. Offensive rebounds. That's key, because when you have scorers at the perimeter, getting them second chances on offensive rebounds going to be huge for this team. So I love the way Coach Gates has approached the portal, in that, okay, there are specific types of guys we need to add to what we got coming in. And he added a great mix. So anyway, very excited about that. Staying in college, there's a lot of talk about transfer portal changes. And again, here is my message to the NCAA. You don't listen to me, but you should. Get them on the phone. Someone from the NCAA, call this office right here, right now. I've got all you need. There's talk again about the portal changing to where it's not a free-for-all. In a vacuum, I love it. I don't think it should be a free-for-all every year. There shouldn't be year-to-year free agency in college sports. I don't think. But you have to give the players some flexibility because the coaches have flexibility. They can leave and go wherever they want and get paid millions of dollars to do it. If you're going to change the transfer portal rules, I have said it on the show before. I'm going to say it again as this topic has been brought up again because they're talking about it. The talk is, this is what I've read. They're going to give players one freebie. So in other words, I'll just use this as an example. Let's say I go to Arkansas my freshman year. I'm a big-time football recruit or basketball. I get there. You know what? This wasn't what I was told it was going to be. I don't know. I'm not fitting in with the teammates. I don't love the school as much as I thought I would. Okay, there's your freebie. Then the NCAA is saying, after that freebie, it goes back to the old rules. If you're going to transfer again, then you got to sit out. Now, I, for one, don't like it to be that rigid. But let's start with that premise. If I'm running in college sports, I allow one freebie, just like we just said. Don't like it, not fitting in, it's not a great fit, or you're not getting playing time, whatever the reason. Look, if I'm a college student and I go to Mizzou, I don't find my people there. I don't like it. I know I got a couple of friends who are over at Kansas State. As a student, a regular student, I can transfer every year if I want to. I just talked to someone the other day who told me she went to 4 different schools when she was in college, just as a regular student. So a student can transfer anytime he wants. These are supposed to be student athletes. I know, supposed to. I get it. It's used loosely. But they're supposed to be student athletes. They should have a right to transfer. But if you're an athlete and you've committed to a program, here are my parameters. You get one freebie, so you can transfer whenever you want. And then, yes, you would have to sit out if you transfer again. Here are the exceptions. I would have 2 exceptions. First, if the coach that recruits you leaves for whatever reason, you're a free agent. You get another freebie. So if I start at Arkansas, don't like it. I transfer to Missouri. Oh, this is great. I love Missouri. My junior year, the coach leaves, takes a job at Michigan or whatever. I get another freebie because that coach recruited me to come here. That coach is now gone. I shouldn't be tied. And I know the traditionalists will say they signed a contract or they came as a scholarship player to a program. It shouldn't matter who the coach is. Completely disagree. The coach is part of bringing that person, that player, to that program. The player gets recruited. The player's not being recruited by the university president. Hey, look at our great campus. The player is recruited by the coach and his staff. So there's your one exception. Every exception. By the way, if you go to college for 5 years, let's say, and every year your coach that you played for leaves, you're a free agent every year. That's an exception. Here's the other exception. If you want to go up or down a level. So in other words, let's say you're playing at, let's say you sign to play at Carbondale, which is not the FBS, but the FB or FCS. It's the football championship series, not the football bowl series or whatever. It's a separation of D1. It's a different level of D1. Or let's say you want to go play football at Missouri Baptist, which is D3, whatever. If you leave and go to a higher level, you shouldn't have to sit out. Or vice versa. If someone gets recruited by Oklahoma and for 2 years they're not getting on the field and they want to transfer to a D2 school or an FCS school so they can play, it shouldn't be held against them. That's an exception. Same on the other way. If you're at Carbondale and you're the best player in FCS and you want to come to Missouri, or if you're Cody Schrader at Kirksville, Truman State, and you want to go up a level from D2 to D1, you should not have to sit out. Level transferring, coach leaves. Those are your exceptions. If I'm a player and I'm not getting on the field at the FBS level and I could transfer to, and let's say I started at Oklahoma, what didn't work? I came to Mizzou, used my freebie. It's not working. I'm not getting on the field. Now I want to go to Carbondale. I shouldn't be held against me because you're dropping a level. Shouldn't be held against me. Same thing if you're going up a level from a smaller level and you're killing it at the smaller level, you want to play at a higher level. And that especially rings true for basketball. If you think about basketball, everyone, poo-poos the portal and the free agency. The one good thing about this portal for basketball is that look, on a basketball roster, you have how many? 12 players? You don't have 60 or 70 like in football. There are limited D1, especially in power conferences, spots for basketball players. If you get overlooked in high school and you're look, I'm not going to say his name. There was a kid at Webster Grove several years ago. One of the best scorers in the area. Fantastic player. Could have and should have been recruited to D1. But because of the portal, a lot of mid-major and smaller D1 schools take transfers instead of recruiting high school kids because the portal rules of players, they can transfer whenever they want. And these mid-majors are collecting players that have played at some of the higher level schools but can't get on the court. So they drop down to the mid-majors where they can play. Great example of that is Cameron Fletcher, who played at they were in the tournament and they upset had an upset in the first round. Hold on, he's from St. Louis. I'll look it up. I forget the school's name. Cameron Fletcher started his career at Kentucky. He played at High Point this year. High Point, who made a good run in the tournament. Started at Kentucky, was at Florida. Wasn't getting on the court in any of those schools. Dropped down, went to High Point, and they made the NCAA tournament. Those types of players are what the mid-majors are after, right? So the mid-majors are recruiting less and less high school kids. It used to be you could be a mid-major, a fringe D1, D2 player, and you'd get to play at a mid-major college. But now the mid-major colleges are starting to collect some of the power conference players who aren't playing. So this particular kid who played at Webster averaged over 20 a game, one of the best scorers in the St. Louis area, in the state. He ended up at UMSL, 3 fantastic years at UMSL, and then went and played at Austin Peay last year. He got to the D1 level, but it took him a few years. The portal is fantastic for those types of players who may be great in high school, but maybe don't have the frame or need to work on their game a little bit. And it used to be those players, they went D2, they were stuck at D2. They never had a chance. And now you see a lot of these D2 players coming up to play D1 because of the transfer portal. So it has helped. It has helped in basketball so many players. And I don't want to take that part away from them. That's why I'd put the exceptions in. You want to go up or down a level, or your coach gets fired or leaves, quits, takes another job, resigns, retires, whatever. Your coach leaves, you're a free agent. You want to move up a level in athletics, move down a level in athletics. Freebie. Those are your exceptions. And you get the one regular freebie. Now, it still tightens it up a little bit. It's not automatic free agency. You don't get to leave whenever you want. I love Kevin Coleman. I'm so glad he came to Mizzou his senior year. Just got drafted by the Dolphins. How awesome is that? He played at 4 different schools in college. This rule, portal rule, would eliminate that. You don't get to just transfer every year. You make a commitment to a school, you make your commitment. You want one freebie, you've got it. Your coach leaves, you get a freebie. You're not playing, you want to drop down a level and play, freebie. You're killing it at the smaller school level, you want to jump up, freebie. To me, that would be the most common sense. It would make the most sense in terms of the transfer portal. I'm free. I happen to be a lot freer than normal these days. So NCAA, whoever's on that board, give me a call. I'd be happy to consult for a nominal fee. I think we've solved NCAA. Everyone's got so many questions about the NCAA. 76 teams in the tournament. That's fine. The first ones that get in are the mid-majors that won their league but didn't win their conference tournament. That takes care of some of those teams before we put in an 8-10 team from the ACC. All right, that's solved. Transfer portal. One freebie, coach leaves exception, level transfer exception. Done. Now, I sit back. What else can we solve here today? Mark, anything? Anything I can solve?
World peace, will you?
Oh, what? The problem is, well.
Oh, we know the problem.
Yeah, we know the problem.
Okay.
The problem starts here at home, but we can't solve that for another couple of years.
Okay.
Or at least solve part of that in November. All right. What else besides world peace? Anything? I mean,
Cardinals bullpen.
Well,
we'll talk about that. I guess.
We're going to talk Cardinals in the second half of this show. But again, before we get to that, before I go to break, they're fun.
They are.
They're fun. The Cardinals are fun.
I'm seeing a little cardiac Cardinals at the end of the games.
Yeah.
But I think the bullpen is worn out.
Well,
that's what I think's going on.
Pitching is going to you look at it now. We'll get into it second half of the break. They're 17-13. They're 2 games out of first place. They're kind of doing it with smoke and mirrors because of the offense. But we'll get into it after the break. You're listening, watching, tuning in, streaming, the Mole Hole. My name's Randy Molman. We'll be back right after this.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchatas and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open Tuesday through Sunday. El Potro, 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland. Find them online at elpotrostl.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. 314-752-5000. Jewels on Hampton.
It's St. Louis City SC Soccer in Spanish on 1029 KXOK. Don't miss a moment of the action. And for more information about St. Louis City SC Soccer, visit KXOK.com and click on the St. Louis City SC Soccer logo. Santiago Beltran and Hector Vega bring you all the exciting play-by-play action every game in Spanish. Right here on the Spanish Sports Voice of St. Louis, 1029 KXOK.
Back inside the mole hole. My name is Randy Molman. Welcome on this Thursday in St. Louis. How about these Cardinals? 17-13. 10-5 on the road? How about that?
Yeah, they're looking pretty good.
7-8 at home. You'd like to see them win more home games.
Yes.
But 10-5 on the road.
That's really good. They're usually not that good on the road.
No, and I was kind of saying, like, by the way, 5-0 in extra innings. So they've won every extra inning game they've played.
That's a good stat.
6-2 in one-run games. That's a great stat.
Yep.
I kind of said, part of the reason I thought this team might be fun is they don't have a ton of veterans who have been through it. They don't know any better. They're just going out and playing.
Right.
I
think there's a lot of truth to that.
They're just out there playing. They're having a ball.
What do you mean we're not supposed to win?
Yeah. Everyone says we're supposed to stink. 3 wins so far at Pittsburgh. They got to play Paul Skeens today, the phenom pitcher for the Pirates. 12:35 first pitch. That's always a tough assignment going up against the best. He might be the best pitcher in baseball, starting pitcher. Paul Skeens. Oof, that if he stays healthy, that dude is destined for the Hall of Fame. He's already great, and he's young. Now, 4-2, 11-7, 5-4. One of the things I saw last night that just tickled me. I've talked about Victor Scott and his speed for a long time. The problem he's had is he hasn't been able to get on base consistently yet at the major league level, but he is so fast and he's such a good base stealer that I loved having him in that number 9 spot in the lineup. I talked about it last week or the week before, almost like a second leadoff hitter because of that speed. And if he could get on base, he's been bunting. He's been doing things to try to get on base. Last night, one of the scenarios, he gets hit by a pitch, steals second, steals third, infield single, run scores. I mean, and I know for the younger baseball fans, that's not how they like baseball. They don't like to see a weak ground ball up the middle for an RBI. But because Victor Scott got himself on base, stole 2 bases, got himself on third, and then a grounder up the middle scores him, they manufacture a run because of the speed. That's what we grew up on. That's the baseball we watched growing up. And so it tickled me to see that last night. It was great to see. Jordan Walker had been slumping.
Yes, he had.
Kind of broke out of it the last 2 nights.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the one thing we wanted to see from him this year, and it's only been 2 games since the slump. How does he handle slumps? Because last year, it seemed like it was a season-long slump. He couldn't break out of it at all year. He only hit 6 home runs. He's already surpassed that in April this year. JJ Weatherholt, that dude is fun to watch.
Crazy guy.
Oh, so fun to watch. He's hit 5 games in a row now with an extra base hit. To have him at the leadoff spot in this order, oh my goodness. But listen to this schedule coming up. They finished today against Pittsburgh. Then they get the Dodgers at home this weekend, best team in baseball. They get the Brewers, who are not atop the standings right now. The Cubs are. But those are 2 tough series. Brewers and Dodgers. Brewers are almost always good. And the Dodgers, I mean, they're the best team in baseball. Then at San Diego, they're in first place, believe it or not, over the Dodgers. I say the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. Right now, they're not in first place, I don't think, in the NL West. Hold on, let me check. I think the Padres are. The Padres were 10 games over 500 last I checked. So you've got 9 games. The Brewers are over 500, 15-14, a game and a half behind the Cardinals. The Padres, the Padres have gone 1-1. They were 18-8, actually, so they've gone 1-3 in their last 4. So the Dodgers are in first place. The Padres are 19-11. So you're playing in the next 9 games, you're playing the 2 best teams in the National League other than the Reds. The Reds, by the way, 19-11. And then the Brewers sandwiched in between, which is always a tough series. So this is going to be an interesting stretch here for the Cardinals.
You know, the Cubs seem to be doing kind of good, too.
They are a half game out of first.
Yeah.
Every team in the NL Central is either 500 or better. How about that? So you've got Dodgers, Brewers, Padres, and then you've got the A's, Royals, and Pirates. So you follow that big 9-game stretch with a little bit of an easier schedule over 9 games after that. So that'll be interesting. This young team, this young offense, this young group of players who are having a ball are going to play 3 of the best teams in the National League over the next 9 days. So that's going to be fun. And by the way, you know how attendance has been down? I've been hearing from people, ticket sales are starting to become a little better down at Busch Stadium. With a fun team, they realize there's no expectations this year, but with a team that's out there and fun to watch. Now, again, when you look up and down the lineup, you're not looking at the lineup and it's not like batting average wise, and a lot of it's not knocking your socks off, but timely hitting has been huge. Alec Burleson, 8 doubles, leads the team. 4 homers, 22 RBIs, leads the team. Here's the other thing about this team. They walk more than past Cardinals teams do. They're getting on base. You look at Burleson's on-base percentage at 346, Weatherholt 370, Wynn 343, Walker 352, and Ivan Herrera 420. Those are some very good on-base percentages for this lineup. Burleson, Weatherholt, Wynn, and Walker between those 4 players and Herrera, by the way, those 5 players, that gives you such a good base in your lineup. You're just building around that lineup. Nolan Gorman is doing his normal Nolan Gorman things. Most are high strikeouts, hitting just 214, only 4 homers, but he has driven in 18 runs, which is 3rd on the team. So he's hitting in clutch spots. Nathan Church was in a horrible slump. He's come back. Victor Scott is hitting just 184. His 2 stolen bases yesterday give him 5 for the season. That's a guy, man, I just want to see him do well. He's so good defensively. I just want to see him do well. I think it completes your lineup if that guy is getting on base, and he's only getting on base at a 241 clip, which is terrible. That's terrible. So I'm pulling for that dude. I want Victor Scott to do well. I love the speed. I love what he brings, the offensive element to the table with that kind of speed. And I just really hope he does well. He's struggled pretty much all year. Now, the struggle is in that pitching staff. Your bullpen, other than Riley O'Brien, who's given up just 2 earned runs in 15 1/3 innings, he's got 8 saves. Jojo Romero hasn't been great recently. But you look at some of these ERAs. I mean, Matt Swanson struggling. 10.34, 18 earned runs in 15 2/3 innings. Justin Brule, too many walks, 11 walks in 15 1/3. Swanson has 12 walks in 15 2/3. Ryan Stanek, ERA is 9, a dude we brought over in free agency, veteran, 12 walks in 12 innings. This bullpen cannot continue to walk this many hitters. Your bullpen is supposed to come out and shut the door, not allow base runners. Even Gordon Graceffo, who's been good, he's only given up 2 earned runs in 12 games out of the bullpen. He still walks 6 in 16 innings. 7 walks in 13 innings for George Soriano. They have to limit the walks. Justin Brule, I said, 11 walks, 15 1/3 innings. The only pitcher out of that bullpen who's not having any problems in terms of walks is Riley O'Brien. He's walked 1 hitter in 15 1/3 innings. So, what that leads me to is what are we looking at down in Memphis? Because I think at some point you're going to have to turn to Memphis, and because I know Stanek was a free agent you got. He has not been good. Swanson, maybe he needs to go back to the minors. The problem is, what kind of flexibility do you have in terms of your 40-man roster? That's the other part. How many guys in these minor leagues, down to AAA, how many of them are available to come up to the major leagues because they're not on the 40-man roster, and then you got to make a roster move?
I remember back when Mo, I don't want to bring Mo up too much, but he used to bring in those young pitchers, to send them down to AAA. He'd say, we're going to develop these kids. They're going to be great for our team. Just give us a couple of years. And then somewhere between when he signed them and the couple of years, he'd trade them or get rid of them. So we've never had that pipeline of young, good pitching talent, I think. I don't think we've had that in a number of years that are ready to come up and really throw some balls.
Yeah. They called it the Memphis shuttle.
Right.
You're setting them up and back, up and back, up and back. And they haven't developed, you're right. They haven't developed pitching
like they should,
like they used to. And they've had some bad luck. Quinn Matthews has been hurt. Tink Hintz has been hurt. They did trade make a trade for a young arm out from Toronto in a trade, and he keeps getting hurt. Like, so if you look at Memphis right now, there's a bullpen, Max Rotchik. I don't know if that's the way you pronounce his name. 19 and 2/3 innings, 20 strikeouts, 8 walks, a 2.29 ERA out of the bullpen. That looks good. Luis Gastelum, 11 games, 14 and 2/3 innings, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts, 2.45 earned run average. Richard Fitz was looking great in the minor leagues. We got him in the Red Sox deal for Contreras, out for the year with a shoulder injury. He looked great in the minors, 1.76 earned run average. You've got 9 games out of the pen down there by Chris Roycroft, but he was good down there. He hasn't been good here up here in the majors. He's back down in Memphis now. So there's a couple of arms down there, but if you want to look at some of the starters, Hunter Dobbins, got a start in Pittsburgh, or got called up. I think he might be pitching today, actually. He looked pretty good at Memphis in 5 starts. You've got Quinn Matthews, one of our supposedly young stars, 28 strikeouts in 19 and 2/3 innings, 17 walks, though. So, again, I don't know that there's anyone at Memphis right now other than a couple of those bullpen arms I mentioned. Ratchik, 8 walks, 20 strikeouts, and then Scott Blewett's been pretty good. He's given up 8 earned runs, but so there's no, actually, sorry, I was wrong on the, hold on, it was Ratchik. We have a guy named Bruce Zimmerman down there is pitching very well. 6 walks, 44 strikeouts in 30 and a third. 6 starts so far for Memphis. It was Gastelum who I was talking about. He's got a 2.45 earned run average, but it's 11 walks, not 1. 11 walks, 12 strikeouts. So again, you have limited options at Memphis right now. There's a handful. Zimmerman's pitching well as a starter. Dobbins is pitching well as a starter. Matthews is striking out a ton, but walking a ton. Ratchik is probably not Ratchik. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's not on the 40-man, I don't think. So you'd have to make a move to call him up. Blewett in the bullpen. Scott Blewett, a reliever. He's probably not on the 40-man. So, they've got some arms down there, but they're limited because they'd have to release somebody or DFA somebody. You only have the 40-man to work with.
I'm always worried about our closers too. Gosh, I miss Bruce Sutter.
Yeah, Bruce Sutter, Todd Worrell,
I know
Lee Smith, Tom Hankey. We've had how many have we had over the years that have been just dominant closers that we're used to having those?
Right. We are. And I haven't seen that in so many years.
Yeah.
It's like we know, okay, we got the lead, even though it's a small lead. This guy's going to come in and he's going to close it out. We've got the game.
Yeah. Ryan Helsley.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So, but Riley O'Brien's been good.
Yes, he has. I don't want to take that away from him. No, he's been really good.
Leading up to O'Brien has been the problem. Jojo Romero was good to start the year. He's struggled recently. So, look, I think, again, we're a product of limitations. 1, because of the 40-man. 2, because we're super young and still developing arms in the minor leagues. So it's not like they can just call up guys like they have before. So, by the way, there was a guy on the 40-man, I think, Packy Naughton, who was making a comeback this year, hurt himself again. So he's out. So, and look, the Cardinals can also make some moves, some creative moves if they need to, like they did this week. They picked up a pitcher from the Colorado system named, I'm going through it right now. Well, let me give you his numbers real quick before you get into it. Left-handed reliever, 25 years old. The Rockies DFA'd him. In limited major league innings this year, he was terrible at Coors Field, but very good away from Coors Field. 19 games in his major league career at home, an ERA over 9. 18 games on the road outside of that altitude, and an ERA in the mid-2s, 2.47 or something like that. 12.3 strikeouts per 9 in the minor leagues. Luis Peralta is his name, left-handed reliever. No risk by Bloom, another guy who obviously has strikeout stuff, hasn't, secured a spot on a major league. But those are the type of moves we're going to see. We're not going to see this team go out and get a stud bullpen arm. They're building for the future. We knew that going in. So as frustrating as this bullpen might be, as frustrating as it is that the starters aren't going deep in games, you're limited to what you can do in terms of the shuttle from Memphis or from the minor leagues.
Do you think I think they're doing good early in the season like this. These guys are developing, and I think as we get in closer to the All-Star break and then the second half, I think they're going to be ready by then when it really counts.
I mean, you hope so.
Right.
But does the bullpen flame out before then? You know what I mean? I don't know that this first of all, this pitching staff can't continue like this if they are all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, they might make the playoffs. That can't happen with the way the pitching staff is right now. If you look at this 40-man roster, you have Stanek, Fernandez, Kyle Leahy, Brule. So here's the flexibility. Justin Brule we signed as a 29-year-old free agent. He wasn't our own. Ryan Stanek was a veteran free agent, 34 years old. Swanson, 27. He's on the roster. If you wanted to make some roster moves to bring these guys up who aren't on the 40-man, you look to these veteran arms who are not performing. Brule is one of them. Now, look, I'm not saying these guys can't turn it around, but those are the first guys. George Soriano, 27, another guy who is a more veteran, not veteran, but he's got major league experience. If these guys aren't performing, and then in the minor leagues, Dobbins, who just got called up, Tekoa Roby was the pitcher I was talking about who was trying to come back from an injury. He couldn't stay healthy, the guy we got in the Toronto deal. Some of these guys in the minors, Cooper Jerpy, who's down in Springfield. This is a guy with all kinds of talent. Bryson Motts is at Memphis. Fitz is now hurt. He's 6. He'll be out for the year. So that might free up a spot because he'll be on a 60-man. If you get on the either the 60-day or longer IL, it doesn't count against your 40-man. So that'll be Fitz. So that'll open up a spot right there. And then you've got so I'm just looking at the pitchers. You're just limited on the number of pitchers you've got. So it's going to be very tricky. It's going to be very tricky. But as the season wears on, if Stanek's not getting better, if Brule's not getting better, Soriano's not getting, those are three kind of more veteran signings. We did make a trade for Soriano, but in effect, he was a relief veteran option that we added to the bullpen. You look at those three guys, if those guys aren't getting better May, June, then I think you will, like you mentioned, you're going to start to see, all right, these veterans, let's DFA these guys. Let's bring up some of these young guys and see what they can do. Right. So, but that's the flexibility you have. That's the only flexibility you have. For roster moves. And again, I know Cardinal fans, if they keep winning and they're sniffing around a playoff spot, they're going to, these fans are going to be like, we got to make moves to make the playoffs. That was not ever the goal this year. We're going to get in with what we have. And I still think, even if we're playing well at the deadline, I still think we may be sellers because, again, we're building for the future. You look at this crowded outfield once Lars Nootbaar gets back. Who's the odd man out? Will we trade one of those guys at the deadline?
Church is pretty good out there.
So could Lars Nootbaar? So in order to get something for Nootbaar, if we wanted to trade him, he's got to play. He's got to show that he can play. You can't bring him off the injured list and be like, hey, we'll take a great relief pitcher for. We haven't seen him play. He's going to have to play, which means that's going to bite into Nathan Church's playing time. And probably Victor Scott's if Victor Scott can't hit, which he hasn't been hitting. So I think Nootbaar could be a candidate to be moved at the deadline. We signed Urias, Ramon Urias, 32-year-old, plays multiple positions. He's been pretty valuable for us. We could probably trade him at the deadline. He would be a value for somebody. If Dustin May continues to pitch well, he's a veteran arm. Could he be someone you move at the deadline? So even if the Cardinals are hanging around and are in this thing, I think Chaim Bloom could sell anyway. I think he could sell anyway because, and by the way, you're going to hate this too. You're going to hate this when I say this, Mark. Riley O'Brien has been so good. He's 31. Imagine if he is this dominant at the deadline. Imagine what you could get back for a great closer. Just like when they traded Helsley last year. Riley O'Brien's not a closer at 23. If he was 23, I think it's a completely different story. He's your future closer. But at 31, if you could get a return on that guy, I think you have to do it. Because again, remember the expectations. They are not changing. This team is rebuilding. The org is rebuilding. They are stockpiling young assets. So even if we're in this thing at the deadline, folks, I think you're still going to see the Cardinals as sellers. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. We're not used to that here.
It is kind of stuck.
We're not used to that, but it's not going to last forever. It'll be this year, maybe next year if there's a season, because that strike is looming.
Yeah,
the lockout's looming. It could be this year, maybe next year, and then after that, I think the Cardinals are back to their old way of operating. All right. We've stockpiled. We've rebuilt. These young players have now played. We've got a great idea of our core. Now let's add pieces to win. And I think you'll see that 2028. I know.
Oh, that hurts.
I know.
That hurts.
But in the meantime, just enjoy the ride, man. These are fun. This is a fun team to watch. All right. Good show today. You've been listening to The Mole Hole. KXOK in St. Louis, KWRH in St. Louis. Don't forget, Spanish language Cardinal broadcasts on KXOK. And City SC on KXOK, Spanish language broadcasts, right here. Until next Thursday at 8 a.m. So long, everybody.